My name is Paul Wolfarth. I have been a UAW member for 35 years. I retired from Toledo Jeep with 31 years. Bill Clinton passed NAFTA in '93. Okay, he told us all we're going to get all the workers in his promotion of this agreement that was pushed by Wall Street and U.S. Chamber of Commerce. That we were all going to end up with a $10,000 pay raise, and this competition with these other countries are going to be great for us. Well, how's that worked out? You know, I don't see it. It's destroyed. It's destroyed the whole Midwest. You know, these people in Wall Street, they don't associate with manufacturing, Midwest manufacturing people. They just thought it was a gold mine. They figured they could pick sell the jobs overseas, move the production, means of production overseas, and they could profit by the difference, by import the stuff, by investing in those companies overseas, and importing all the stuff to the United States, and they would be able to profit from this. And it's all short-term thinking. Even, you know, people say, well, the transplants are doing good down south. Well, yeah, they're doing good, but the owners of those companies are like the Japanese and the Koreans. They're long-term thinkers. They don't pay their management the kind of money that our managers in the Big Three made. They pay them at a substantially less, and the managers of the big American managers on a whole are short-term thinkers. They want to make a quick buck on a short-term quarter. They sell their stock options, and they make a quick buck. And they don't. A lot of them don't care if the company succeeds or not, because they have the ability to go from one company to the next. And if they maximize risk to maximize their profit for themselves, and hopefully it works out. Well, the auto workers are long-term thinkers. They're in it for the long haul. They got to be there. I'm talking about the workers on the line, the workers that work in the plant. They're counting on this company to be around for 30, 40 years, and get secure retirement, and support their kids, send their kids to college, and hopefully that will work out. Well, it hasn't worked out. The whole thing collapsed on itself. So this movement of jobs offshore has slowly eroded the wage scales and of the private sector in the United States. Real estate then was going to be the new savior of the country. You know, we've written off manufacturing. Everybody's going to move into a McMansion, and then they're going to be able to fund their with home equity loans their lifestyle for the next 20 years and raise their debt level. And the government, they promoted that. They kept interest rates at 1% with a Greenspan. And they promoted a tax write-off of $500,000 on a home ownership. You didn't have to pay any capital gains on a house of less than $500,000. So this built this bubble economy with housing. So between loss of manufacturing and the fact that we slowly lost the means of producing, exporting our products, this in the housing bubble, it just destroyed our economy, and I blame this all on basically Wall Street and the banking industry, and they ended up with TARP money, and they're supposed to promote our interests and get the economy back, but they're just taking care of their 1% buddies. Civil society is like breaking down in some of the major cities because there's no income, there's no jobs, and this is a direct result of how our government works. Our government works by the 1%. These teabaggers, they believe in the right of the individual and don't tread on me. I'm going to do what I want, but they don't understand. They don't make any of these decisions. The 1% make all the decisions in this country. These people go to these teabag parties and they're misguided. They listen to the same shills on the radio and talk Fox News that are promoting the interests of the 1%. They're always saying they don't want to raise taxes, but who does that affect the most? It affects the 1%. The 1% are the ones that are making the decisions. They've got an oligarchy going with our government, and they promote their interests by campaign contributions, and the people out, the little small businessman here and there that are losing their businesses because of what the economic policies that these people on basically the East Coast have promoted on the Midwest, they're misguided. They don't. Those people on the East Coast could care less about those guys, the little right-wing Republican small businessmen. They don't care about those people at all, and so they care about them and their family. And to be fair, they don't relate to the small peons in the Midwest. You know, the bankers and Wall Street, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. These people are for money. Their whole lives have been for money, and they took on huge risks with our economy and in order to make huge profits, and then they didn't suffer. The people in the country suffered. Those people, they got a bailout. And where we had with the Goldman Sachs and the Lehman Brothers and the Merrill Lynch, those people, now they're getting bonuses. They got money back. In the concentration of power, where we had like 15 banks, now it's down to 4 or 5. They got more power. And and you think the little small businessman that listens to Glenn Beck is going to get an audience with Geithner or Paulson? Hell no, he's not going to get an audience with those guys, because they don't care about those people. They just care about their buddies that keep them in office. And so that's how that system works. And they want to maintain their lifestyle at the cost of all of us out here in the country. You know, even Henry Ford seen the genius of the $5 a day workday, so that his workers could afford the products that they produce. If you don't pay people enough money to afford a certain standard of living, it affects the whole economy. If you let Wall Street and the 1% control everything in their greed, they are economic terrorists. Control the country in such a way that we'll end up living like Mexico. The people with the wealth will have to have security forces to guard themselves, and then the masses won't have anything. And even small businesses are affected by the offshoring of our jobs and the downsizing and the race to the bottom that we've seen in this country over the last basically 20 years. It really took this long to get here because of the trade policies from so-called Democrats, Bill Clinton, and the continuation of these policies of offshoring our standard of living to third world countries. So it affects communities in such a way. We're seeing this now. We're seeing the states. The states are in trouble. They've cut to the bone, and they're going to have to give back the same benefits that auto workers used to enjoy. These people in the public sector are going to have to give back these benefits also, because there's no money. There's no economic base. You can't afford the house when you're competing with slave labor states like China. You can't. You know, in China, they live in extended families live in one little house. I mean, here in this country, we have central heat. We have these houses that in subdivisions. If you want to compete on a world basis, you're not going to be able to afford. You're seeing it across the country. Extended families are moving together, and there's a glut of housing all over it's unaffordable because people can't afford to own these houses anymore. The government, the people's money through TARP to force on us no strike clause. So who knows what's coming down the pike for us as auto workers. But they don't realize that what affects the auto workers also affects health care and government workers.